it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here for another PB&J card class. And today's video is the third in a series of 4 videos featuring Penny Black's newest creative die, Happy Snowy. I just love this die so much that I went a little bit crazy making cards with it and having fun doing some different variations using the different elements of that die. The card that we're creating today is actually the one you'll see right up close here with the juggling snowman. I decided he would be out juggling some snowballs. And so we will be creating that card today. Now, before we begin, I wanted to mention that I will have a full supply list up on screen at the very end of the video. So if you want to check out any of the products that I'm using, the dies, any stamps, inks, paints, colors, any of that, it will all be listed up on screen at the very end of the video, and you can just hit pause to check it out. Now, this is the Happy Snowy creative die that I will be using today. Comes with lots of different elements, which you'll get a peek at. And I'm also using the miniature 3x4-inch transparent stamp set called Seasonal Signs. And these words that are on here perfectly fit on the little sign that is on the snowman. So I'm just playing around here. I have die cut the little sign, that's what you're looking at there, and deciding which word to use. And I decided to go with joy. Because at this point I was thinking he might be doing some juggling, so he'll be my little joyful juggling snowman. I'm going to white heat emboss this onto my cardstock. So I just patted an anti-static tool onto that piece, and I am stamping it with Versamark ink. I'm stamping in my Misty Stamp Positioning tool. This allows me to do a couple of different impressions just to be sure I get a really good stamped image onto the texture of this watercolor paper. So once I have stamped that, I'm going to just take out that little sign. Now you can see what it actually looks like. Sprinkle it with white embossing powder, and I will go ahead and heat to set that. Now I've die cut all of my pieces from Canson 140-pound watercolor paper, and I've attached them onto just some pieces of painter's tape. And then here I am using the Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, and this is a magnetic board. It can do lots of cool stuff. I'll put a link to a video down below where she talks more about all the different things you can do with this. But I love it for holding in place all of these little die cut pieces so I can paint them. So I'm painting them using Distress re-inkers used as watercolors. You can see them over on my palette. And I'm just going to go ahead and go in and paint these pieces. You can see how easy this is to do. Nothing is moving or wiggling around. Now that word joy that I stamped, that's going to resist these inks. So you get that nice color in that bright white of the sentiment. So here I'm just going to be painting all of these in. Now you certainly could cut these from colored cardstock. You could paint them with your markers, your favorite watercolors, whatever you like and prefer to do with your die cuts. I love the bold color that I can get by using the Distress re-inkers and the shading that I can easily add. And I just think that painting the die cuts just gives them kind of an artsy look, and the thickness of the paper also adds to the finished and sort of professional look of the finished card. So I decided to go ahead and match up his little sign to his hat. So I am mixing in some oranges and some reds, and again all those exact colors will be listed up on screen at the very end of the video. I wanted some areas of light and dark, so I just keep playing around with the amount of water and the amount of ink that I add. But also keeping in mind that I do want this hat to tie into the little joy sign that I have already painted. Now with the Happy Snowy die set, you also get, you can see down in that left-hand corner, you get a little bird, which I'll be including with this design. You could put the little bird, you could have it up on his hat and his hand. There's so many different things you can do with this die set, which is one of the reasons I just really love it. I like when you can get something new and then also combine it with some of your other products and dyes that you may already have in your stash. Now I did add just a touch of weathered wood distress ink re-inker around the eyes and the mouth and then blended most of it out using water just to accentuate them a little bit. And then I'm also adding a little blush to the cheeks and blending that with a little bit of water as well. Now for the card base, I have used our new creative die set, Stitched Loops. This is a really fun frame die to use. The stitching is actually on the outside of the cut line. So you can get a closer look here at how that works. You cut the center rectangle and then you have all that great stitching and detail around the outside. So I went ahead and cut that from a smooth white cardstock, and there you can also get just a closer look at that. And I'm going to layer it onto a piece of Canson 140-pound watercolor paper, but first I want to paint the background. So I just marked a little below where that frame ends, and I'm going to go in and paint this background. Now I'm going a little bit wild and doing a pink and sort of reddish background. If you wanted yours to have a little bit more traditional colors, you could certainly do that. You could have his hat be more of a red and the sign be a green, or you could paint this background with a green or a blue and add some snow to it. It's really up to you and what you prefer for your holiday cards. Now I am putting that down onto that background using foam tape, and I'm ready to sort of build this scene. I'm going to just trim him down so I can slide him down a little bit further before I bump into the foam tape that is used there in the background. And you can see that little sign that hangs around his neck, and I'm going to have that extend beyond the frame, and that just adds a little bit extra interest to the entire design. I have glued on his nose and I'm gluing on his hat. And I'm going to adhere him down using some dimensional foam tape and just put him right down here in the center of the card. I love how he's just peeking out, and you actually don't see his whole body, but just part of it. Now here's that joy sign. Now I didn't want that to hang quite as low, just so that the card kept more balance. So behind my head there, I just trimmed off a little bit of the top of those sort of strings of that, so it doesn't hang quite as low. And that's something you can do with this if you want to adjust the design. Just trim those down a little bit and it still works perfectly fine. And I will adhere that down with some liquid adhesive. And then I'm going to add the little bird. Again, I'm so sorry about my head peeking in there, but I'm going to add the little bird there right as on that sign. Now for the snowballs, I actually used from our winter wardrobe die set. You can see what's supposed to be like the little knobs or hangers up above at the top. Those cut the perfect little snowballs. You could also use a punch or a hole punch to do that. And I just cut mine from watercolor paper, so they have a nice thickness. And I arranged them coming up around from his hands. So he's just doing a little snowball juggling here. And then I am using a white gel pen just to very lightly add some snow falling in the background. This also is a pretty clean and simple card, so this just is one more little detail to give it more of a finished look. And that snow is going to show up a little bit more on those darker colors down at the bottom, but I'm also working my way up and adding it a little bit to the higher portions of the background. And then this is attached to a standard A2 size note card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So here is a look at that finished card again, a very clean and simple design featuring the Happy Snowy creative die set. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll tune in to see the 4th card created using this adorable snowman. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel. You can connect with Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, as well as our website and blog, and I will link to all of those for you down in the YouTube description box below. And if you stay tuned here at the very end, will be that supply list as promised. Thanks for watching.